Well, these are going to get swapped out today. They don't look all that bad, but what the heck, let's get it done. Okay, come here, I got something to show you. Today, we are going to put some new U-joints into my 66 Caprice. I'll have to drop the drive shaft for that. And these are the U-joints that I picked up from Napa. This is what they look like. It's pretty straightforward. These caps come off, and inside you see a whole bunch of little needle bearings in there, and they help this spin nicely. There's also a grease zerk here. That always, when you're installing these U-joints, that always has to point toward the drive shaft. If you don't do that, if you don't remember, it can be a real pain in the butt to try to grease these things. So always try to remember to do that. Now these U-joints come with these little G-clips right here. Show you one of these. Basically, the way they work is once that U-joint is inside the collar, this G-clip pops in and holds that whole thing in place. There's another type of clip that comes with certain U-joints. It's called a C-clip, and it actually comes in here and holds the U-joint from this cup here from moving back and forth. I'm kind of lucky because these G-clips, at least in my opinion, are a lot easier to install. So we're going to dive under the car and take the drive shaft off. First thing I'm going to do though is take some PB Blaster and squirt the living heck out of the U-joints. There are also some U-bolts that have some nuts on them that have to come out. Those are going to get squirted too. We're going to do that, and then hopefully things will come out fairly easily. Okay, so I have sprayed this area here with the PB Blaster. This is that U-bolt that I was talking about. We'll go over onto the other side and take a look. You can see it over here as well. These have been sprayed with PB Blaster. I got to let them wait for a little bit, and then I can see about getting those things off. They look a little on the rusty side, so it might be kind of hard to get them off, but we're going to take our time and make sure we don't booger anything up. So once I was able to get those U-bolts out of there, I basically was able to just take a little punch and stick it in behind the drive shaft and give it a little push. Pushed it forward just slightly and then it popped out. I was able to take it out at the front and then just remove the shaft completely. One thing that I recommend that you do before you yank that shaft out is get yourself a pan and put it right under where the shaft mates up with the transmission. You never know if you're on an incline or anything like that. You could lose a little bit of transmission fluid. I got kind of lucky. It didn't seem to affect it. I guess these quick jacks must keep things nice and level because I didn't see anything come out. So hopefully we won't get any leakage at all. So I've got 3 out of 4 of these G-clips out, and I just squirted this last one with some PB Blaster because it's being a little stinky about coming out. We're going to give it just a sec and then try to make that work. Try bigger pliers here. There we are. Oops. I was able to lift it. just a little bit. I'm going to see if I can get that there. Oh, we got that pick under there. Good. Let's see if we can get this thing all the way out. Seems like it wants to. There she goes. That's that. So once you've got it into the vise, you see on the one side I've got this large socket, and that's big enough to catch the cup when it gets pushed through. On the other side I have a small socket, and that's small enough to actually push on the cup on the other side. So basically what we'll be doing is very slowly and carefully pushing this through. Now, this has got a lot of years of rust on it, so I want to make sure that I'm providing enough space for it to get through and not having that cup bang up against the side of this. So I got to make sure that it's lined up properly before I go too crazy with it. Okay, so we've been working on this for hours and haven't been able to get these things pressed. And I'm fed up. You understand me? Fed up. This is my fed up look. So now we're going to get out the big guns. I'm just going to zing this thing off, and then we'll push the caps through. Should be easier since I'm only going to be dealing with one cap at a time. So what you do is you get your drive shaft like so. You put your little, this here is a 19 millimeter socket, so it just fits inside there. And then give it a couple of whacks, and it should, yep, start to move. I don't know if you can see it, but it's moving. That's one. Should have done this yesterday. Yeah, that one's coming out too. See it moving. One more. That's that. Okay. Drive shaft is set up, ready to go. The next thing we want to do is clean the inside of this yoke, get all the caca, that's a technical term, out of here. Make it nice and clean so it's ready to take on the new U-joints. That's up next. Now that we got all the caps pressed out, I want to be able to run through here and clean this all up so that I get rid of any rust, residual stuff. Now I happen to be using this drum sanding bit. It's almost an inch big, and it's pretty perfect for this. A guy could probably use emery, just emery cloth or something like that, or even steel wool would probably do it. I'm not trying to take any metal off. All I'm trying to do is just clean this surface so that when I press the new one in, it'll have a little easier time moving. We're going to do this to all four, and then we've got them all clean. We'll be ready to press the new U-joints in. That one looks pretty good. Once I get all of these clean, now I want to go in just clean out this little area where the G-clip goes. I want to make sure there's no rust or debris or anything in that. I'm doing this on all four, and this will just make it that much easier to get the clips in. Yeah, there's a little bit there. It's not bad. I mean, after all, the clips were in there the whole time, but there's a little bit of junk that's got to come out. Once I've done that, I'll probably put a little PD blaster on there, maybe some silicone, and get it ready to put these things back together. Okay, so we've got the new bearing, or excuse me, the new U-joint, and what I'm doing is gently, ever so gently, take each one of these caps off and grab myself some grease that I've got here in the cup, and I'm just going to goop that around. Now, you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, why are you doing that? They're greasable. Well, that's true, they are. What I'm doing is I'm introducing some grease before we even get to that point, and it's for two reasons. One, I want to make sure there's plenty in there, and two, probably more important, I want to make sure, absolutely positive, that these little needle bearings don't move when I press this in. And they can. Oh boy, can they move. This is sticky by nature, being grease, and it will prevent them from moving around much. Okay, so I got all four of them like so. Next thing we'll do, we'll press these things in. Okay, so it's important that you see this. The reason I could not get this to seat properly so that I could get the G-clip in is right here. See down there? There's just a little bitty space, and when you look on the other side, there is none. That one's fine. The reason for that is that one of those little needle bearings popped out of its position, and it's sitting flat at the base of the cup on the inside. So what I have to do now is pop that side back out, reseat the needle bearing properly, and then put it back in. In some ways I'm kind of glad it did that, so that you can see what the trouble is and how I will go about to fix it. Okay, so I just quick popped it out. I don't know if you can see that. Let's get under some light. There. You see that guy? That one needle bearing is laying flat on the bottom. That's all it takes. You know, just one like that gets out and lays flat on the bottom, and you can't get these seated properly. You never get that G-clip in. So we'll get that resituated so that it's proper, and then we'll attempt to put this back in. Okay, so I took it out, I reseated that needle bearing, popped it back in, and I was able to get the G-clip in. So everything is fine. Last thing that we want to do before we put it in the car is grease it. We've got those two Zerks, one in the front, one in the back, and you see how they're both pointed at the drive shaft. Here's the one down in this area. That's done on purpose so that you can get to them easily when you have to do a lube job on the car. But while the drive shaft's out, we may as well grease them now, and then we can pop it back in and we're done. Works like a champ. Well, that's it. Now you know how to do U-joints. Hopefully that was useful. It's not a complex job. It's not even what I would call a difficult job. Frustrating? Absolutely. As you saw, those needle bearings can really be a pain to have to deal with. So if you take your time and you're patient and you don't throw a hammer through a window or anything like that, you'll be fine. That's it for this video. See you on the next one.